these loans, this was a hypothesis of Gary's, and it was an incredible insight that he, from spending his life in these communities and going, wait, people are already paying for water, right? These loans will pay back. And that was a whole years-long struggle to kind of bring the microfinance institutions along, because it's not an income-generating loan. It's not a classic Muhammad Yunus, microloan. It's an income-enhancing loan because you're buying back these women's time, right? But this has worked out better than we ever could have hoped. And the thing that gets me is these loans pay back at 98%. Right? And these are the most economically vulnerable women on the planet. 90% of our borrowers are women. And just the idea, like, that's the real story, is it's not a paternalistic charity approach of like, here, I'm going to bestow this upon you. It's actually just nudging the market towards these women and getting out of their way. And one by one, these are over 15 million loans that we've done. So it's a very real number. It's not aberrant. It's like, that's what it is. They pay back at 98%. And it just speaks to, if you empower, then people will kind of claim that agency and solve their own problems.
Matt, can I just take you back a little bit? Because, as you say, we've been talking about water.org for a while now. But what first got you interested? Why water? And I do remember in our conversations that you said that your mother would take you to places to show you things that made you want to give back.
Yeah, my mom, she really, that was a real gift that she gave me when I was 15, 16, and 17. She took me to Mexico in the summers, and we would study Spanish there and live with a family and then travel around the country. And then the third summer we went to Guatemala, and it was an opportunity for me to see it, for certainly a teenager and adolescent, to kind of contextualize their own life.
Yeah.
Right. To kind of, and there's no finger wagging or anything like that. It's all you need to do is see it. And it gives you a greater understanding of the wider world that you live in, and it changes you. I mean, it certainly changed me.
And why water for you?
Well, it was about 20 years ago, I started looking at issues of extreme poverty. I wanted to get involved. I wanted to kind of use my platform, and I wanted to work on something and really have an impact. And so I went on a trip, basically, that Bono's group Data kind of would curate these kind of listening and learning trips where you could travel around and explore these issues. So kind of each day had a different learning focus. And one day was water, and I had no idea about, I think like most people in the developed world, like, water, what's the problem there? And so kind of engaging with the issue and going on a water collection with this 14-year-old girl in Zambia, in rural Zambia. And it just had this profound effect on me, because I really connected to this kid, and she was telling me about what she was going to do in the future. And she was getting out of this place. She was going to Lusaka. She was going to be a nurse. And it just reminded me of me and Ben at that age. We're getting out of here. We're going to New York. We're going to be actors. And I realized after I left her that had it not been for someone having the foresight to sink a bore well near her home, she wouldn't have any of these ambitions.
Well, you've changed, as we've heard, 85 million lives so far. You have a new initiative, Get Blue. What are you hoping to achieve?
Get Blue is basically an invitation to have all of us join in addressing this crisis that 2.1 billion people face. That Get Blue is about those 2.1 billion people who want to get access to water, but they just need a little bit of a boost from some of our partners. And so Get Blue brings together really great corporate brands. So we have Starbucks, Amazon, Gap, Ecolab as our founding, what Matt calls the four horsemen of this.
But we're trying to build an army. But for quick context, think RED, the RED initiative, the RED, which has been just incredibly successful and really wonderful. So it's inspired by that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so what we're doing is inviting corporates to come in to engage their communities, engage their customers in ways that work best for them. Think of, Gap having a blue hoodie that you can buy with some of the portions going to water.org and impact. Maybe Starbucks is engaged. Maybe they have a blue cup instead of a green cup. So ways that people can easily engage through kind of their consumer activity, and then they can understand, yes, I am connected to that woman halfway around the world, helping them get access to water. So we see this as a movement.
Because our programs has driven the cost down because the money gets recycled.
Yes.
So it's only $5 to get somebody clean water for life.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, imagine that, right? Yeah. So if we can connect, I mean, Gen Z, who definitely are this generation that want to purchase with purpose, right? So if we can connect, us to, by a small, I'm going to get that cup of coffee.
Yeah.
We can connect that person to the person on the other side of the world and change their life.
Of course, there have been huge cuts made to the development aid sector and NGOs by the US Trump administration. How concerned are you with those?
We never took any government money, so it doesn't affect us directly at all. What we do see is just, that's a $40 billion, vacuum suddenly that's created. So the donor pond that we all swim in just got a lot more crowded. Yeah. So we feel it in that sense is, a lot of people are scrambling and so we're aware of that, but it doesn't directly affect us.
And we see it, and it's not just the US, right? It's Europe and others that are really kind of pulling back from the development assistance and that kind of bilateral aid that's out there, multilateral aid. But we feel like this is a moment for Water.org and our organization, Water Equity, because as you know, we also launched an asset manager, Matt and I, back in 2015. And so we are also raising capital from the capital markets, debt and equity capital that we then on lend to our financial partners. They break that into millions of microloans. Those get repaid, and then we can have targeted financial returns to investors in addition to the social impact that they're getting. And so now more than ever, as philanthropy and as aid starts to recede, we've got to bring in more market capital. And that's our challenge in this sector, is to figure out how do we do that. And that's what we have been able to accomplish. We have created this financial plumbing that can connect the capital markets, getting a financial return with women like the one I just mentioned in the Philippines, Lena, so that everybody kind of comes out with value and that the whole thing can work. So we see the only way to solve a problem this big is to use philanthropy to catalyze the markets, and the markets are fundamentally infinite if we can then continue to make that happen.
But there's a concern in terms of priority. With so many geopolitical conflicts, economic headwinds, all the noise going on, how do you keep it a priority, and does it worry you?
No, it's first of all, water is completely uncontroversial.
Yeah, nobody's against it.
Nobody's against it. Nobody. It is not a political issue in any way. So sometimes people come into the room and they go, "Oh, thank God! I can't wait to talk to you guys." But also it's our focus is maximizing impact. It's the access problem, right? There are 2.1 billion people who have two things in common. One is they don't have access to clean water, and the other is they're not here in Davos, right? And so our job is to keep them centered in the conversation, right? And that's a solemn obligation to kind of try. So we come here to try to keep attention there and keep driving impact there.
Can I ask you about technology and how that's impacting the work that you do at Water.org?
Well, certainly we believe that we need so much more innovation in this space. And that innovation, as we talked about already, comes in the form of financial innovation. The fact that, 10 years ago, the fact that poor women would actually pay for their own water solutions was just completely out of the realm of possible. And that's something that we had to innovate around to figure out how do you make that happen. We also need technological innovation, for sure. We see increasing demands for water. That's the other thing. So we already have 2.1 billion people without access. And now we have really thirsty industries putting a straw into water, if not a fire hose, into water around the world for AI and data centers. And so we actually are working with some of those corporate partners because they see the threat to their business, they see the threat to the supply chains, and they also want to be good stewards of resources where they operate and make sure communities have access to water. And so that's what we're really trying to focus on, is making sure, as Matt was saying, that the people who need need of water are kind of front in the line to make that happen.
Matt, can I just ask you for a moment, because AI obviously is a huge theme here. In your industry, in the film industry, are you worried, are you concerned about your own image and voice being used? Because there are other actors trademarking them because of that.
Yeah, I think there are already laws in place for that, you know. Like, I can't take your picture and sell it. And you know, I mean, clearly what will happen is people will, in an unlicensed manner, you know, eventually, you know, 12-year-olds will sit there and, you know, make me do stupid things on there, and I can't do anything about it. But nobody can put a movie out with me in it that's not me. Yeah.
Not yet.
Well, no, the guilds are all over this. I mean, there's, you know, this is all going to get worked out. I don't believe people are going to have their images stolen, and not in a professional sense.
I mean, you talked earlier about you and Ben and your passion and what you wanted to do, and your dreams have mostly come true. Could you imagine a world that you have to fight to keep your own image?
I don't feel like I have to fight to keep my own image. I really feel like the laws safeguard that already. You know, maybe I'll call my lawyer after this.
It's not really Matt Damon.
Later on CNBC, there's going to be a little thing that says Matt Damon trademarks image. From what I understand, I don't need to do that.
You've both said that, of course, the water crisis can be completely solved in our lifetime. We have the technology, we have the solutions. What is it ultimately going to take?
The movement. It's going to take participation from everybody. It's an all hands on deck solution. That's how it happens. You know, we can keep picking this off kind of millions at a time, but it's a billion problem, not a million problem. And so we've made incredible progress, but what we really need is engagement, you know, wider engagement, and that's going to do it.
You are so passionate about using your platform.
Yeah, I mean, that's a personal decision, I think, for anybody but I woke up in this situation, and it's a very surreal thing, and felt that there were good things I could do with that, and this has been a very long, sustained, kind of relentless campaign for us, and it's really changed. I mean, we started, you know, we were drilling wells, and we were really good at that, you know, and we were kind of, but rather than be kind of satisfied with our best in class status, because we were good because Gary had been doing it already 20 years, and he understood how to interact with the community in a way that the well would be sustainable, right? As he said, half of these projects fail within 5 years. And so we were really good at that. But had we stayed with that, had we not, because we had this kind of come to Jesus conversation, I don't know how many years ago, 15 years ago, Gary said, well, we can put our heads in the sand like an ostrich and keep doing this. Or we can really look at the scale of the problem and find a solution that matches it. And had we stayed doing that direct impact work, which we were good at, it would have taken us 600 years to get to where we are right now. Yeah. So it's about innovating, it's about partnering with people, and it's about trying to get the word out. And that, you know, that will maximize the impact. And so we have huge hopes for Get Blue.
Mm-hmm. And what's your message for world leaders here gathering at Davos? From the humanitarian side, what's your message to the leader of the free world who's here?
What have you done for the poor today? I would say that to every world leader. You know, I wish I could give them all a coffee mug that just said, what have I done for the poor today? So that the first thing they see, oh yeah, I need to keep them.
And Gary?
Yeah, I think increase the investment, you know, of the public investment that goes into all different sectors. Less than 2% goes into water, right? So we really do need to drive up the investment that comes in and commit that both from the government perspective, from the utilities, from the finance ministers. And we have a real moment this year. This is kind of the blue Davos, and this is the blue year, because we're going from Davos all the way to the UN Water Conference that's going to be in the UAE in December. And we are going to be able to kind of drive home the fact that, yes, we need a lot more resources in here. So the return on investment is incredible when you invest in water.
Matt, just finally, I'm going to take it full circle. Your mother instilled the values in you at a young age. You're a father of daughters. What do you say to them?
Well, I'm very fortunate that I've been able to take all of them out to the field to see this work, because I just was literally copying my mother's playbook. And you know, there are long drives to get to some of these places and opportunity for conversation, but sometimes you just don't have to talk. You just have to let them soak it in and metabolize it. And it helps them contextualize their lives the way it helped me contextualize mine.
Will they follow in your footsteps? Do you want them to?
They're wonderful people. I want them to do whatever, find their own purpose and live it. Yeah, but they're all wonderful people. That's, you know, they'll be a big net positive for the world. Yeah.
Matt Damon, Gary White, thank you so much for joining us here today.